Okay, so I started this morning and said that I think my superpower is I'm not scared to ask for anything. So Mr. Mark Roper, who you saw his video at lunch, okay, he's going to tell you about himself, just like I did with SMI, try to let them, they'll do a better job. But he last year was very grateful with his time, or gracious, excuse me, with his time. He spoke to a second grade class for me last year. They did an egg drop challenge, and then the second graders decided, hey, we need to do some research and see if we can do a better job. And are you over 10 million on that one?
The egg drop video.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it's called, yeah, I think it's over 10 million. Yeah.
Okay, so he has a YouTube video, how to win the egg drop challenge at your school. That has over 10 million views on YouTube. And I said, okay, I'll Twitter stalk him. And I did, and sent pictures and said, hey, would you like to talk to these cute second graders? And he was more than gracious and said, yes, send me your email. Let's see if we can work this out. And he talked to them. They asked him great questions like what your favorite color was, and what was the cool clock behind you. I don't know how many egg drop challenge questions we got, but they were great. But he was very gracious with his time. He has willingly done this again. This one's a little different. He normally is housed in California. For us, it's afternoon. For him, it's evening. He's in Italy right now on a work assignment, and he still is going to give his time to talk to all of you. So without further ado, here's Mr. Mark Roper.
Hey, how's it going, you guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, Mr. Trudlecki asked that I take the first, maybe just like 10 minutes or something to tell my story, because what you guys are doing together is kind of talking about how to be empowered and how to your own future. And if I have any message, first of all, I'm not an amazing speaker, so bear with me, but if I have any message, it's like, I am just a dude. I have no, like, I don't feel like I have any really that special talents in any one thing. But if I have anything, it's like I've tried stuff and some of it's worked. So I'm going to tell you, you asked me to tell you a little bit about my story and how I got to this point, and then we'll open it for a couple minutes of questions or something. So, and then I went to school in mechanical engineering. So I got my bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering. And my first job out of school was working at JPL, so the Jet Propulsion Laboratories, NASA, in Southern California. So for the first 9 years of my career, I worked on the Mars rover, Curiosity, which is up roving Mars now for like 5 years, returning really cool science. Which is really awesome. Sometimes I sit in my backyard and I look and there's this little tiny red dot in the sky, 90 million miles away, and I'm like, I've touched and integrated and designed some hardware that's roving around on that little dot in the sky. But while I was there, I had this idea for Halloween costumes. I put an iPad on the front of me and an iPad on the back of me. If you do a FaceTime chat, it makes it look like you have a hole in your body because the camera in the back films what's in the front and vice versa. This was 6 years ago. And the next day, it had like 1 million views. And it was on the front page of CNN. And it was a pretty cool feeling. And so I decided, you know what? Even though I'm an engineer, work at NASA, I'm going to make a video every month. And for the most part, I've made a video every month for 6 years. About some kind of science, or I have 2 Guinness World Records for the world's largest Nerf gun and the world's largest super soaker. Sometimes it's a video like the carnival one you saw. They're cool, full of 25 million Orbeez, which are those water balls, just to see if you would sink or float. Turns out you go to about here, by the way. But that was like 2 tons of water balls in a shipment from China. So the YouTube thing has offered me the opportunity to explore a bunch of different things that I'd be curious about, I guess, and then share with people. And now I think we're up to like 4 million subscribers or something, and 300 and something million views. But the point is, from that Halloween costume, people thought it was a cool idea, but they're like, you know, that's an awesome idea, bro, but I don't have $1,200 for a Halloween costume. You know, with 2 iPads and stuff. So I was like, oh, how can I make this less expensive? So I came up with an idea to have a print on the shirt, and if you cut a hole in the print and then put like your phone in there, it looks like you have like an animated shirt. So we started a company called Digital Duds, working on this sort of nights and weekend, again, while at NASA. Made a YouTube video, created an app, got a bunch of t-shirts printed, and launched that, and it went pretty well. We like made our money back in like 8 hours. And then eventually I sold that company to some guys in the UK, which was another cool thing. And what was amazing about that whole like opportunity is it took $25 to start a website, $99 to make an app in the Apple Store, free advertising through a YouTube video. So it's like, we live in a day and age now where there's so much infrastructure set up. If you have a cool idea and you want to get it out there, if it's cool enough, you know, now you can have Kickstarter, it can sort of rise to the top. And chances are, if you do something like that, it probably won't succeed. I got kind of lucky. But what I tell people is like, whatever you put into it, maybe it's $1,000, maybe that's all you have set up or saved up. That's a super cheap education. $1,000 to learn how to launch a product and to market something, and all the mistakes you absolutely will make, just like I did and everyone does. You know, maybe it won't be your first idea or your second or your third, but maybe that fourth. Now you have all these learnings, you kind of know how to do it. That's your big idea, if that's something you're interested in, right? So we're going to talk about some other ways you can sort of accomplish your goals, even if it's not to make and market a product. So anyways, I did that. I sold the company to the guys in the UK, worked for them for like 2 years, and then I got an offer, and this isn't public, so you guys got to keep this on the down low. But I got an offer to work for Apple in their special projects group, so that's on like their R&D stuff. And so I live in the Bay Area now. I'm in Italy right now on a work assignment for Apple. So I work on the stuff we haven't released yet, so some top secret projects.
That wouldn't be
self-driving
cars, would it?
Go ahead.
That wouldn't be self-driving cars.
Yeah, so obviously you can't say anything about I will confirm nor deny anything. I don't take that as a confirmation. I really can't say that. Anyways, so I do the YouTube stuff still. I have every Friday and every Thursday off to kind of help with making the videos. But other than that, I work with a bunch of cool people in the job that I really love. So, what's the punchline? What I like, really interesting, there's a study by a guy named Tom Wuchek. He did something called the Marshmallow Challenge. He's done this over 100 times. And what he does is he gives them some spaghettis, some hard spaghetti, uncooked, and some tape, masking tape, and a marshmallow. And he gives these groups of people 20 minutes to make the tallest tower. And he's done this at schools, he's done it with businesses, groups, just random groups of people. And there's one group that consistently outperforms the CEOs and the lawyers and the accountants. And that group, does anyone have a guess? I can actually hear it. Who has a guess as to what group just dominates all of them? I see a hand up way in the back.
Go. Kindergartners.
That's absolutely right. It's the kindergartners. It's the 5-year-old. And I asked that, whoever that was, raise their hand. Tell me why the kindergartners dominate.
He said they work from the marshmallow.
Say it one more time.
They work from the marshmallow.
Yeah, so they basically, what they found is like the CEOs and the accountants and stuff, first of all, there's a power struggle as to like who the leader will be, right? But once they get that figured out, they built this crazy tower, and marshmallows are deceptively heavy. So it's not till the very end that they actually put this marshmallow on at like 18 minutes, and the whole thing crumbles. And now they have 2 minutes to try and put something together. The kindergartners, by contrast, first of all, there's no power struggle. They just get to work because they're stoked to do this thing. The first time we put their marshmallow on top on average is like 4 minutes in. So right away, so they fail often, they fail fast. They're continually trying stuff and testing. And so on average, they just dominate everyone else. And to me, that's a great analogy for life. One of the things that I'm frustrated with is when you're like in 6th grade, and people are like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And then you're in 10th grade, they're like, well, you got to figure this out. You got to go to college. You got to know exactly what you want to be. Or have like a 20-year plan, right? What are you going to do in your 20, 40, 60 years from now? But the thing is, the success never, ever, ever, ever follows some linear path, right? Of like, oh, I want to do this, therefore I go like this, and now I'm successful. Talk to anyone who in your mind is successful, and I guarantee you, it's some super wiggly, crazy path, and somehow they arrived at this thing through a bunch of series of setbacks, and they originally had a different goal. So like, my philosophy is like, kind of like if you're hopping across a stream, you step on one pebble, right, or one stone, and it's like, well, how do you continue crossing the river? Well, you look, and you might have a choice of 3 stones. That one's a little wobbly, that one's a little small, but that one's kind of big and sturdy. So you hop on that one, and then once you're on that one, you're like, okay, what are my next options, right? And to me, that's kind of how I've gone through life so far, is like, whatever position I'm in, look at my options, figure out what the most appealing option is, and just kill it. Like, go 190,000% at whatever. Invariably, is after doing that and learning some skills, or meeting some people, or trying something to do and go work, then 6 months later, it's like, oh, you know what I should totally do? I should try this. And then you try this thing. And then pretty soon, you can look back and you're like, wow, there's a bunch of little rocks, a bunch of dots I've connected to get to this point. So one of the things that I firmly believe in is like, don't worry if you don't know exactly what you want to be 40 years from now. But if you like to take pictures, if you want to be a good photographer, don't just wish to be a good photographer. Go out and take a buttload of pictures, right? If you like to paint, just paint stuff. Maybe you like to code like crazy. Whatever small passion you might have, just try that, do that like crazy, really commit yourself to it. And then once you've done that for a while and learned some skills, the next step, the next thing you might be a little passionate about, try that. And eventually, in my personal experience, that's led. So that's kind of the gist. Story. And my philosophy on life is basically try stuff, don't worry about failing, be like the kindergartners, and things will work out. Will everything you do be 100% amazing, successful? Absolutely not. But if you can get over the stigma of failing, and just know if you just try a bunch of stuff, some of the stuff's going to work out really well.
All right, you want a couple questions if we got some?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do we have any? Do we have any? We good? We're feeling good? All right. Okay, Mr. Robert, enjoy Italy. Watch out for the human drivers. I hear they're really dangerous, much more than the computers. But again, I can't thank you enough for helping us out today and closing this out.
Cool. All right, guys, let's do good stuff.
Thank you.
Is this on?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to once again thank all of you who came. We had a couple of schools who had to leave early so they could make their school bus at their own school. So we thank them, and as you're looking around, maybe you've networked with them and maybe you made a few new friends. That was one of our goals today, so please keep in contact with one another. Please also, you are more than welcome to keep in contact with your presenters. Many of them, even like the 5th and 3rd graders, gave you email addresses. You can talk over ideas. You can do hangouts together with your own classrooms if you are interested. There are two groups of presenters I would really like to thank. One of them is all of you Concord kids. We really were very proud of you and your ability to step up and present, or like Hannah, Dylan, Juan, and Jameson, who helped us out behind the scenes. You might not know what they did, but they were very big helpers for Mr. Drillicky and myself. So well done, yay! The other group I would really like to thank were our special guests today. The Riley ambassadors over here. I'm very proud of these girls. And finally, our special guest who flew all the way from Iowa City, Iowa, Esma El Gertie. Very big. Of empowerment, and our big focus was to empower all of you, whether you are a student or a teacher or an administrator or whatever your role is, to really feel empowered to use education and science and technology and math and make learning fun. That it does not always have to be dry and boring, and that what is out there today is not the same thing that was out there 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And as Mark Rober ended, the idea of being willing to fail forward, of trying, of experimenting and exploring. And I am very proud of all of you. The makerspace was really big this afternoon. So you guys were really hands-on and interactive, and that was great. We had even third graders starting to make their first Google sites. We have people learning about gamification and STEM and things like Screencastify and Beach Video and Flipgrid and SketchUp and a variety of other things. And I am very proud of all of you. On behalf of Concord Schools, I would like to thank all of you as well for your behavior and your ability to allow us to do this while school is still in session at this building, and it wasn't too interrupted. And I'm just very happy, and I hope that you had a great day and that was enjoyable and you have a safe journey back. But before it's actually time to leave, we have one last thing for you, and here's where I turn it over to my esteemed colleague.
Esteemed is okay. No, well, I shouldn't say most of you. Several of you took part in the Wii video demonstration in our first concurrent session. And so Mrs. Eisenbarger, who is our media center specialist, along with, she teaches that our digital media court here at the junior high school. They compiled all those videos and put them together, and we're gonna see how it works.
Okay, so I told you all that one of our criteria for being a good leader is being willing to fail. I told you when we started, this might be a hot mess, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. I think you're going to be happy with some of this. We might have some audio issues. We'll see.
Let's hear what it's so feel free to share your life. Feedback.
Now you're doing done for the test. Don't push much. Make energy. Get that up and have fun.
Focus your focus. Stay on track and keep your head in mind.
Yourself and know your knowledge. Faith is others.
I agree by failing. I'm not scared to try this.
Judge fairly. Do what you know is right, even if the path is not the popular one.
guilty to advertising?
Because the way I want to be treated.
Smile. Other people in front of you are.
Tina, many hands.
T is for team up.
Team up.
Underneath that eagle, be humble when you score.
Visualize. Picture your goal as complete and expect success.
Work. Then discuss on the cards that are fine.
Exercise flexibility. Be ready for change.
Here you go.
Thank you. Show appreciation and don't be shy about it.
Just baby, don't go back on your
All right, okay, so it's nice to end on that, and I applaud Mrs. Eisenbarger, because let's see, 5 days, maybe? So her and her students have had video for 5 days, so literally. We've used a couple different video editing platforms here, and again, us adults today, this has been about you, the students, but we have tried very hard to model for you that, like, we're willing to mess up. Like, I'm very good at it. Mrs. Eisenbarger, not so much. But again, she was willing to try and say, okay, I'm going to stick my neck out. I'm not quite sure if this is guaranteed going to work, but we're going to try it. And it got done. And could we say, okay, yeah, maybe there's a little sound problem here, sound problem there. So what? It got done. We all enjoyed it. So we went a little longer here on the thank yous and that section. We want to make sure that you get out of here at 2 o'clock so that you have 15 minutes to get buses and get out of here. Some of you know have to get back for certain things at your schools. But we did want to give an opportunity first to our non-Concord people. If any of you would be willing to share, like a takeaway from today, or some, I'm counting on 3 of you here, you know, some like wonderful words of wisdom that you can leave us with for each other. Because again, at the beginning, I challenged you and still, okay, even on the way out, you know, ask questions, say hello, something. And so if some of you have a great takeaway or somebody you met or something that you're going to make sure that you take back with you, we would love to hear it. Yeah.
So hi guys, I really enjoyed today's conference. The video, so that was really fun. But as a speaker, it was different to be in the spotlight, have people listen to me. But my advice would be to take opportunities where there's something that you're not interested in, but that's your only option, and give it all your all, because it can turn into something that you really love. Computer science is an example of that. I signed up for it last year. I got to really know what it was about. I was like, I'll give it a try, but I really do like it. So I've met people here today who's giving me advice on that, and so I'm going to take that and use it to advance myself, and I would just encourage you guys to do this.
Anybody else? I know it's going to be hard to top that, but anybody else? Concord people? All right.
I went. Oh, hi.
Hi. I didn't get to meet a lot of people today, but I went to a lot of meetings and they gave me more information on what I wanted to do and what I can do to give it a try.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm up here at the top. Anybody else? Fantastic.
So today I learned that I need to try harder, especially with the Christmas tree I made. I'm going to get home to do it, but cheers.
Anything else? Okay, last, I will.
I will change.
So I created HS, I think this is working. I'm terrible at this. So I created HSDL, the Student Digital Leader Program, for days like today. My whole goal was that kids would get together and learn from each other. Love our teachers, I used to be one of them, but you guys are the best leaders. And we need more opportunities, we need more time for you guys to talk about what you're getting out of class, what you've won out of class, and the things that you're using that are making it more interesting as Kendra said earlier. This is the trick. So if you have ideas, as you are working on something, and I saw so many great things happening today, as you're doing things back at school, talk to those adults who brought you here. Talk to those people who care about you, who are invested in you, and tell them, you tell Mrs. Green, we want to talk more about this, because I want to make sure that that's happening. You guys are the key. You're the whole reason the rest of us have jobs, okay? And Hoosier Student Digital Leaders is about giving you a voice and helping you take charge of what's happening in your school, because there's a lot of change. And people who've been doing school for a long time kind of forget what change is like. You guys are helping us reinvent it. So keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for being here.
Any other, while I'm up here, any other adults, now we'll open it up. If you want to share anything, I'll be happy to hear it.
We'd be happy to.
Okay, again, on behalf of Concord Community Schools, Kendra Divide and I, the two of us could not have had more fun and more proud today, I think, period. In my years of education, I've done a lot of cool stuff. Trust me, a lot of cool stuff. This was awesome seeing you students run the day and continue. Do not let us old people get in your way. Do not let us get in your way, because there's plenty of cool stuff you guys can do. We thank all of you for coming. You can either go, if you're in that section, that way. Door 12 is where everybody's parked, that way. If you want to grab whatever's left of, oh no, it's gone. You want to fill your water bottles, that's about all we have to offer. Again, thank you very much. We cannot say thank you enough for coming.